Hello and welcome to Two Men. They talk, but about what? Movies. They discuss them, interrogate them, investigate them. Yes, it's The Real Deal with Josh and Charles. With me, Josh, and of course, as always, my co-host.
Can I talk now? Is that it?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. It's Charles.
Oh, hey, Charles.
Hi.
So, Charles, we watched a pair of wintry ultra-violence movies for this episode.
Yeah, out of the blue. I didn't really know that they were both. The trailer for the Hateful Eight made it look so nice. I didn't really know that it was going to get so violent. And the other one was just so much violence. I didn't see that one coming either.
Yeah. Also, did you feel like it was just too cold in the Hateful Eight? I kept being like, maybe set it on a beach. That's nicer.
Yeah, it was QT's. He's a little vacation film. I thought that's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm just saying, Adam Sandler, bless his heart, he has the sense to, he wants to go to Africa, makes movie in Africa. 1 + 1 = 2. It's not complicated. QT, they're paying for this. You could go to the goddamn Bahamas, but no. Like what, Montana or whatever? Wyoming?
Yeah, how did anyone even agree to do it? I don't even know.
How do you read a script that says, scene 1, we're in Wyoming, and you're like, cool, I'm doing that.
Wait, what? I quit. I would have quit.
I would have walked out. I would have laughed in that man's face, and I would have walked out of the room.
Yeah, I mean, his face, it's a good thing to laugh. Is there anything better to laugh at than that guy's face?
His face looks like a rectum.
I mean, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, I mean, before we get into it, I mean, should we pretend that it's been a week to keep up with his... Yeah. Should I edit that out?
Yes. No, I think it's important for people to know that this is a timely podcast made in a sequential manner befitting something that progresses exponentially. So, no need to overly concern yourselves with the chronology, but just know it's been 7 days since our last episode.
How are those days? You've been pretty stressed out, man.
Much like the film The World of Kanako, for a period of longer than 7 days, it sure felt like a really long time.
Yeah.
You really felt all 2 hours of that movie. That was seemingly endless.
Well, I'm getting the sense that you didn't like either of them, it sounds like.
Here's what I'm saying, Charles. I really feel like for these kind of movies, which operate on a level of extremity so polarizing, they really have to earn that, I feel like. I think you really have to be able to deliver something that really seals the deal to justify doing a lot of things that are just, so pornographically violent that you're like, okay, if this is heading in a direction that's more interesting than that constant plot device of extreme cruelty, then like, I can get into that. But these were two movies that felt very long and then did not deliver much to taste at the end.
Yeah, let's start with the World of Kanako, because that one is, well, it's fresh in your mind, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I am hot off the World of Kanako grill.
Okay, perfect, because it's been the week since I've seen it. I just put it in the beginning. So it's
been a 7-day period of time. We've acknowledged that.
Yeah. But I feel like I just watched the opening scene just a few minutes ago. That opening scene was, I think, as you were talking about, I mean, there is some great stuff going on in this movie. We'll get to the end and if it deserved to do it, but it's hard to find a scene that is edited that sparsely, like where you see just the snippets of what we need to see and have it make coherent sense. And I was blown away by that opening, and it really sucked me in. I really liked the way it started.
Well, I'm not going to... It's a well-made movie. Like, when it operates at its best, it operates at its best. I think for all of the moments in the movie that seem so restrained and carefully constructed and are very compelling, much like that opening sequence, there's other aspects of the movie that get so cartoonish so quickly that it's so hard to... I went from like being really blown away by moments in this movie and outwardly laughing at like moments seconds later.
And in a good way, or just in a Quentin Tarantino face sort of way?
I think what unites this to many Quentin Tarantino films, and we'll get into one of them today, when they get ridiculous, they're so ridiculous, and you realize that you're really kind of watching some really arrogant dude make something, because he doesn't seem to have the sense of when a moment of like profundity veers into like complete over the topness in a way that doesn't feel. It's like the tone just feels like it shifts so dramatically when it overstays its welcome, and that's not consistent, and that's not a very good movie.
Well, I liked the World of Kanako. I think I liked it more than I like both movies we watched this week, so we'll see how up for it we are for the challenge. But I agree, though. I'm not sure if you've seen any of his other movies, but he is a very cartoony director, and it was confusing because the movie starts off very realistically, and then it becomes more and more cartoonish as the movie goes through, and then till the end it gets very serious again. So it is hard. You sort of dragged along, and you feel like you're suddenly enter into a different movie, especially near when it gets super violent. That's when it gets to be super cartoony too. So it's like he's trying to do both at once, and it didn't seem to work for you. But maybe we should describe what's going on just in case
you
that
are
might
so
cement
you're so carefully avoiding any sign of contention, and it's fine, Charles. Dig into it, man. Come on, don't dance around it. Throw a punch.
Well, I'll just say what the movie's what happened, just so we can be all on the same page. But basically, it's about a man who turns out to be a piece of shit man, and he's trying to find his daughter, who turns out to be a piece of shit daughter, and it's really just about him discovering her life, and we also sort of discover their life together and how they both just sort of hate each other and feed off of that negative energy, I guess. It's maybe one of the sweatiest movies I've seen lately.
Oh, it's a real wet movie.
Yeah, it's like that guy. He's fucking awesome. I've been familiar with that guy since I saw a lot of Kiyoshi Kurosawa movies when I was a kid, like Cure and Charisma. He's one of my favorites, Kiyoshi Kurosawa, and he always plays like this very quiet sort of main character. He's got definitely darker director with darker tendencies, and that actor really played well to that. But here he's like vibrant. He sweats, I think, in every scene of the movie. He yells. He rapes in more scenes of the movie than most people rape. It's quite a performance, and it was surprising to me, at least being familiar with that guy's work.
Well, I will say halfway through the movie, I started torrenting Old Boy. That was a first reaction to it.
I think this movie got compared to Old Boy a lot too. I didn't read too much about it.
Yeah, I can see there's grounds for that. The movie veers really intensely from like really visceral action and violence to like incredibly heady philosophizing and very thinly veiled symbolic gestures and deeply resonant one-liners about the nature of love and destruction. And I don't know. I think this movie suffered from the same thing that I thought The Hateful Eight suffered, which is that two directors using great skill lay out what looks like a really delicious mystery, or, you know, something that could spawn like a real investigation, and then inadvertently gets so caught up in its own momentum that it sort of spins off and gets predictable and boring and stops surprising you and doesn't really arrive anywhere very profound. And I don't know.
I'm not sure that it sounds like the way you're describing it, the adjectives you're using, it sounds like it's like out of the control of the director. I think this is very much in his control, and one of the, as we said earlier, it is his work, and even if it gets crazy at times, it's definitely his direction. I don't think it ever get lost in itself. It doesn't explain itself too much, and which is sort of surprising with a lot of, there's a lot of room for it to sort of hit home what it's trying to go out to do. But in the end, you're really just left with a man who is related very closely to his daughter, and both of them are just awful people. And it's like the end of the movie is him. What was he wanted to like unearth her dead body so that he could kill her again? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the film, after an incredibly elaborate world is built around the role of his daughter as this pimp, drug pusher, casual murderer, sexual, I don't know, just this sort of like a real vile, complex, and kind of lifeless character, if I'm being honest about it. She wasn't a very compelling person in the movie, and when the movie's about you, that's not great. But yeah, he's like leading the mother of one of her schoolmates around a frozen field, insisting that he reveal where she buried her corpse after killing her for pimping out her daughter to older wealthy businessmen with police ties. And he says something to the effect of like, then she must be alive, because if I'm alive, she's alive. And when I find her, I'm going to kill her with my own hands. Freeze frame, fade to black. That's not a joke. That's literally the end. Is a freeze frame, fade to black.
I don't know that I would have ended it in the way that this guy did, but I didn't make the movie, so that's fine. I'll leave it up to him. But it's you feel every minute of the last scene. I will definitely give you that. It is long, it is cold. There's lots of just traipsing through the snow, trying to unbury stuff. But I think it's a fitting ending to an otherwise really vibrant, bloody, colorful. It goes from one extreme, and then we finally get to this. And I think that's why it's a cool movie, is that, a lot of stuff plays off of the detective genre, and I think this does a good job of, giving us, once again, that failed detective as our lead detective who's not very good at it, and all the expectations we have for detective noir stuff is to solve the case, figure things out, and of course we don't get there. And I think ending it so coldly, literally and figuratively, but also so time-consuming. It's just like, we will never get to this end that he wants. And I thought it was a very, it puts you through it, and we feel it. I thought it was good.
I thought the moments in the movie that surface out of the ridiculousness into very, I don't know, there were moments that I was absolutely there with it, and I thought it was great. And then a lot of other moments where I thought I was jarred out of that sense by stuff that I don't know. It didn't feel like it was on par. I think it's a consistency thing where I'm not denying that the things that were great about it were incredibly well done. But the parts that were, I don't know, it reminded me in some ways of the movie Possession, a movie we both enjoy, where aspects of the sort of delusional paranoia of the main character are never explained. They just sort of continue to persist past the point where it's comfortable or meaningful to ask if they're real or not. And I think that when that stuff came up, it was a really horrifying movie. And then other times it would sort of get so just blunt in a way that felt kind of stupid. It veered back and forth between these like moments of very well done things and things that seemed overdone.
Yeah.
So again, I could level the same criticism at The Hateful Eight, another movie where the things that are great about it are really great. You have some excellent performances and a movie that is inherently compelling, even if it doesn't pay off. And the things that get stupid are so broad, and so they seem like such an easy quagmire to avoid as a director, that when you really choose to like heighten that and push that and run with that, yeah, I think I'm going to question some of your judgment.
Yeah, what did you the movie spends a lot of time with this like young boy character that it really confused me. It's one of the few movies, even though it is sort of coherent and you get to the end, I don't think I really understood some of it. But like, did that boy, like, I think he could have been taken. I guess he was there to show that, what she's capable of, this Kanako can do. But I don't know. I didn't. That was the part that I had the hardest time getting into. Just maybe because of the way it was thrown into the movie.
Yeah, there's a whole B plot about one of her classmates who falls in love with the mysterious Kanako. And I want to say this quickly while it's on my mind, but the total concealment of her and her motivations and intentions, and really any actual information about her, which is referenced pretty self-awarely in the movie by the character, can either be seen, I think, as a huge accomplishment, where we do never understand her. We only enter her world. So that is accomplished pretty thoroughly. And again, I can't tell if that makes it really good or kind of a disappointment that couldn't become more real in a way that, I don't know, if the total denial of my emotional relationship with her is like a feat, I'm not really sure if it helps or hurts the movie, but I know it's like an achievement either way. It definitely keeps it so distant from you that again, I'm not sure whether to be really impressed by that or like admit that that also takes you out of it because it just seems so alien that, is that really what you want? It, I don't know. Is it safer to make something that's more distant, or is it like really impressive that someone actually maintained that level of mystery the entire time?
Yeah, I'll go with the latter. I thought that was, it is an accomplishment, especially for a movie where the whole movie is about finding this girl and essentially him trying to get her back. But we find out it's for reasons that we don't really expect, and we also don't really, just like the main character doesn't really ever get to know his daughter. We don't really get to know her. I think that, and it's one of those very hard things to do to keep me engaged, but also make that mystery real. It's hard to, make a character distant, but also make us care about her. And, you don't care about her in the same way as you do about the main guy, but it's still, it's a very well done. Even at the end when you like, know she's dead, there still was a part of me that was like, we still need to meet this person and resolve this quest. And the fact that it never happens, it's effective. It's fucking crazy movie too.
Yeah, it is a crazy movie. I don't know if I'd like recommend that to people, if I'm being honest. I think that's what I'm walking away from it being like, they put you through. I don't. It was also, I thought the impact, the consistent over the top violence that's pretty grim, pretty much 100% of the time. Like as it continues, it starts to sort of settle in something that we expect, and so some of the bigger like gross out moments kind of I thought fell flat because everything else seemed so heightened to the point of like I was already so distanced from it that I'm not sure if that was an effective thing to do that consistently for 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I wouldn't recommend this to most people. It's not something that most people would want to sit through. It's really, it's grueling. But I think, it's another one of those movies that just sort of, it's a character drama. I mean, it's totally aesthetically different, but it reminded me in some ways of The Place Beyond the Pines. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't.
You
And not
didn't?
because I don't like pine trees, but I no, I have not seen it.
Well, it takes place in your home state of New York.
That's that's where I am right now.
Yeah, in Schenectady, I think. But that was, it's just more about parents and their sons and daughters, and just this crazy effect that we have on each other without really even knowing it. And it's an exploration into the darker side for sure, where I don't even really know what happened between them, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, and I don't know. Now my pendulum's going back the other direction, Charles. Where now I'm sort of like, yeah, that did. There was a curious emptiness, just as they frequently tell Kanako in the film that she is empty. The film also has a sort of hollowness to it that, again, I guess it's part of the aesthetic of the movie, but it's also, it just kind of gets to a point where you can't avoid how hollow it is, and it's not fun to like. I guess like when you make something feel so, laboriously brutal and grim. What what else can you really walk away? I don't know. I think it asks a lot and then doesn't really give very much back. And if that's an accomplishment, it's like, well, cool. That's super unpleasant.
I hear you. What it does and asks you to look at isn't really fulfilling for most people. It's probably not worth it for a lot of people, but I think it was. Yeah, I mean it's not going to be up there with other movies about parents and their loin product.
Well, there's Ron Howard's excellent Parenthood. Have you seen Parenthood? Ron Howard's Parenthood, starring Steve Martin, I think.
Oh, you think it was a sequel to that?
Maybe a spiritual sequel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, spiritual. I've never seen it. I should have really watched that in preparation.
There's a funny scene in it. There's a funny scene in it where a kid finds one of their parents' vibrators, and it's very uncomfortable for everybody to acknowledge. The fact that let's be honest, parents still have sex, Charles.
I don't know where we're going with that.
Well, I'm just saying, like, other movies have explored how complicated it is to, you know, sometimes people like lose themselves in their children, and they feel like they've lost a certain individuality, and you're reminded sometimes that you really do still have a life even with kids.
Even with kids, you can have a life.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Is the World of Kanako like other Ron Howard films? Not that I can think of, but it is kind of like Parenthood.
Well, I'll have to watch it and see how much he stole off of it. Because it's true. It sounds very similar.
Well, yeah, they're in many ways very similar. I believe there's more birthday party scenes in Ron Howard's Parenthood, but there's kind of a nice birthday scene in the World of Kanako where, while he's stalking the frozen earth for her grave to murder her again, he does mention that she would have been 18 that day. So I guess that's kind of nice. And another parallel between Ron Howard's Parenthood and the World of Kanako.
Yeah.
I think Steve Martin goes as like a cowboy in Parenthood, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry you didn't really like it. It sounds like it made you sort of down in the dumps.
Well, it's definitely not an upper movie. You know what I mean? I think if I was in a bad mood, I wouldn't throw on World of Kanako to play away my blues.
No, absolutely
there's a
not.
lot of I guess the repeated aggravated sexual assault and constant blood spurting made it not exactly, I didn't like eat peaches and cream with this movie. You know what I mean?
No, that would not have worked.
I think I would have lost my appetite pretty early on into it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there was a lot of. I think this had the most rapes per movie that I've ever seen.
Well, it reminded me very much of Ichi the Killer, the manga, not the shitty movie. But yeah, seriously, the plot device of finally getting to the real rape scene at the heart of the movie, like after like X number of other rape scenes, you're like, wow, this movie is going for it.
They did.
They are really leaning hard on that plot device, and yeah, it's a pretty exhausting thing to. Yeah,
it is exhausting. I think it's. I hear what you're saying, where it didn't really earn what it did, and yeah, I'm not sure that having multiple rape scenes was really like I think it was important to the movie to have one, because it was certainly it was a part of this man's character. Like it helped us relate to him as a person in a way, showing him being that terrible. But for him to do it all the time, again, it just brought it back to that like cartoon world, where then we just sort of have to wonder how much of this is actually serious, how much of it's real, should we care about any of it? It was like a schizophrenic movie that tried. I don't really know why it went to those certain places, like the shootout scene at the top of the parking garage is a good example.
There is a ludicrously drawn out shooting scene between a character we do not care about or need to care about and the main character, and it absolutely sucks the movie for like 15 minutes off in this direction, where I was like, this is completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it was. And it added nothing to the movie.
Like it made me want to watch like a Seijun Suzuki movie, which has elements of that as well, but it was like a different time and really differently done. I don't know. I liked this guy's other movies more, and I loved parts of this movie, which is why I guess it's hard for me to say that it's not very good. But parts of this movie were so well done and actually sort of went places that I wouldn't have wanted a movie to go, but it did it anyway. I just think it was an unbalanced movie. And this is one of those examples, where just because a character is unbalanced, I don't think the movie should follow that, because then it makes us it pulls us out too much. And, you get lost, not in the plot or anything. You just get lost from it, and you have to go look at your phone for a little while.
No, because it's messy, man.
Yeah.
And again, I think the excuse of like the main guy's schizophrenic, which they literally establish in the film, it's a little, it as a narrative excuse, it really gets leaned on so hard, and that does not do well for a story.
No, I think this would have been better with a half hour less, probably.
You nailed it, man.
A few fewer characters, and just...
Hey, filmmakers, guess what? 90 minutes, you dorks. They should all be 90 minutes. That's the new rule. All things. No, all activities should be 90 minutes long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that I wouldn't want to do for more or less than 90 minutes.
Almost nothing comes
I
to
can't.
mind.
It's like a blank. It's like just a void. What is it? There was one movie that I saw recently, and I have no idea what it is anymore, but it was exactly 90 minutes, and I felt like it was 90 minutes because they needed it to be 90 minutes. And I wish, that's a totally useless little anecdote now because I have no idea what I'm fucking talking about. But it was...
That was another episode of Anecdote Quarter with your host, Charles Hobby.
Oh, yeah, we should throw that in a little more often. I think we've only done it once now.
Well, I think it's just good to establish that that space is there and it has been established. So if we want or need to go back to it.
I love your little corners. Everything's a little corner. Should we pull out Joke Corner?
Oh my God.
Would this be the episode? I think if there is an episode, this would be the episode to pull out Joke Corner.
Where we dust off a real chestnut.
Yeah, get us into some mood before we get back into another mood while we talk about the Hateful Eight.
That's good. We'll do a little intermission, so to speak.
Yeah.
An intermission with a fan favorite, Joke Corner.
We had some fans on the old show, right? Did anyone actually listen? There's that dude in Spain.
Let's keep telling ourselves that and record that as the new canon of the story of the show. We had fans. It's been established. It's just been said out loud. So let's move forward, not question that statement, and embrace it as we move into developing what will hopefully be the incredibly complex universe of The Real Deal with Josh and Charles.
We should have tried to contact that guy in Spain.
Oh, the possibly dead man in Madrid who once streamed our show for hours?
Yeah, we have no idea why he was in Spain, but he loved, I don't even remember the radio station anymore. Wow.
I want to say he was maybe an extradited prisoner going back to stand trial somewhere, and they were put him in a room, presumably bound, and opened up a laptop, indeterminately mashed the keys down and hit enter, and our show came up. That is what I'm guessing happened. And he sat there with, cuffed to a chair maybe, listening to our wonderful show.
Oh, man, it brings me back to a better time.
Doesn't it? Yes, man. I'm recording this on a day of inordinate snow and wind and blizzard misery. We almost went there. In New York City, and I'm reminded of many a night of me and Charles hacking our way through ice and snow to the basement of a community center to sit in a squalid room that smelled like farts and record a show that no one listened to.
Yeah.
And Charles, boy, those were the days, because look at us now.
We did those things for art, I guess. Was that why we did it?
Well, sometimes you just do things to do them.
Yeah.
And look at us now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's nice about getting older is that you sort of get to a point where you realize the people that you need to be nice to, and then there's certain people you really don't give a shit if they don't like you. I feel like when you're younger, you sort of have to make sure everyone sort of likes you, and when you're getting a little older now, you're like, I don't have to be nice to everyone anymore. I don't really give it. I'm never going to see that person again. Yeah,
Charles, you of all people, you have this particularly your insistence on being so nice and neutral to people is a well-established characteristic of your life. So yeah, I would say you almost tiptoe too much around people with your thoughts and feelings about things that you feel very passionate about.
Well, it's nice. You're getting closer to death, but you can at least not pretend to care about so much.
Yeah, as we record, we are both 48. It's important to note.
Yeah, I just had a weird experience at a restaurant with some person that I never met before, and I'm never going to see them again. And I'm just like, you've known people in the serving industry, right?
I do.
I would say about half of them have a strange arrogance about working in the service industry. Have you ever noticed that?
We're really getting into it. Yeah, there's certain. I mean, I worked in a kitchen for a period of time, and I will admit it's such you get real bitter real quick because you work really hard for people, see almost no appreciation, and it is extremely stressful.
But it's more like whenever you go out to eat with people that have been in the service industry. It's like they think it's like they're experts in their field, finally ready to give a lecture to a class of idiots. And it was just like, man, I don't know if we need to really go there, but it was just like a weird experience where we were trying to pay the bill, when you have like 6 people all trying to pay the bill, and we each gave a credit card. I made up this nice, it was a great chart. If I had Excel, it would have been a little better, but it was pretty good. It told the guy exactly how much to take off of each card, and then we gave the guy cash for the rest of it. And there was one way that it worked and one way that it didn't. And for some reason, the guy went with the way that it didn't work and then came back to us all confused, rather than just try it the second way where it would have worked. And then the other person got really like know-it-all and like, oh, I told you it wouldn't work. And it was just like really fucking weird. And maybe 10 years ago, I would have tried to act nice and appease the person. But no, not anymore. Just like, fuck it. This person, just don't fuck it. I mean, that dude makes $50,000 a year and he doesn't know how to put a credit card through a machine. Fuck that guy. So, it's nice. It's a liberating feeling.
This has been Dinner Time Grievances Corner with Charles Hobby. That's a good corner.
It's a good corner. Wait, were we going to Joke Corner?
Well, we're going to go Joke Corner. I've actually, Charles, I want to thank you. Actually, that was delightful. And it kind of sets the tone for what's about to happen. Charles, I found an article that was built for Joke Corner. It's called The 10 Funniest Jokes Ever According to Science. And Charles, I love science almost as much as I love laughter.
You love science. It's true. It's actually on, that was on your OkCupid account, right?
Love science.
Love science, want to love you.
Science man. Will you love this science man?
Oh, I actually think I read this article. Was it the one like about different countries having jokes that are I forget.
No, shut up.
Oh.
Jesus Christ. Just kill the fucking you want to talk some more shit, or can I do the fucking corner?
Tell me a joke. So wait, are we doing the same thing where I try to answer it, or do I say how funny it was?
No, I read you the joke, and then you give your raw immediate reaction, so we can capture, because there's something really beautiful about comedy as an art form and a science, Charles, where you throw this pebble of hilarity into the still lake of sober living, and you just get to see those ripples. You know what I mean? As the laughter and maybe the wisdom of the joke really permeate some dumb fuck's mind, some shithead just sitting around doing nothing or thinking about life's big questions. A single joke can unlock a world.
Jesus.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't. No, let's hear one.
So I'm going to tell you a joke, and then you're going to just tell me what you think about what the joke is.
Right. Okay. So there's a whole joke, including the punchline.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Ready? Here we go. This is, again, I cannot stress enough to you that this is a scientifically established funny joke. So before we even...
Whoa. What percentage of the scientific community approves of this?
It was published on the internet, Charles, so clearly it's been through enough hurdles to get into a...
Okay.
Right.
Go.
Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
This joke is entitled Snail with an Attitude. And I know what you're going to think. It's like most jokes don't have titles, but in this article, they do have titles, so I thought I'd put that in as a little bit of color for the whole situation.
Wow. That's true. Actually, maybe all jokes do have titles, and no one bothers to tell me when they tell me the joke.
Well, I think, the thing with people nowadays, like millennials, but with cell phones, no one take the time for anything anymore.
Yeah.
And,
skip it.
I know you and I, we sit back and take in a film. And when I take in a film, I'm in a leather-backed chair in a screening room, far from my smartphone. And I really take in a movie. And I describe it like that because some people, they in this consumerist culture, they just go to consume and eat up the movie. And I let it enter me. Does that make sense? Is that...
Yeah, actually, while you were saying that, I remembered that movie that was exactly 90 minutes long.
Oh, what is it?
It was Don John.
Oh, the wonderful Don John, starring the great Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And the reason why I felt like it was exactly 90 minutes was because it felt like an essay that had to meet. It's like the professor was like, well, Don John or Jade, whatever his name is. It's like, this needed to be 5 pages and this was only 4 pages. So you just add on, you like do the little formatting tricks and you make each paragraph end on the word so it pushes it down a line. It just felt like he needed to hit the 90-minute mark because it pretty much was just a visual essay. And it was an interesting essay, but it wasn't that great of a movie.
Man, well, we just brought the heat to Don John. What I think you're not giving Joseph Gordon-Levitt for is that he wrote and directed and starred in a whole movie. And what the fuck have you ever done?
Yeah, you got me there. No, it was pretty good.
He did a voice. He did an acting voice for the whole movie, Charles.
Wow, they do that for the whole, and they do it over days, right?
No, I know. So he must have imagine how weird that must be when you're talking to your friends in your normal voice, and then you have to do literally a different, not real person's not real voice.
Fuck.
When you're doing the movie, and I don't really know how they do that.
Wow, that's why they get paid so much. I think it's like an impossible task handed over to the thems of the world.
Well, I just want to shout this out for a minute because there's a lot of these Sanders voters types who are always decrying the fact that we pay movie stars a lot. They bring us joy.
That's all they do, and it's nearly impossible to do that. Jesus.
Well, I mean, just think about that idea. What's your job? Are you you're a public school teacher? Oh, sorry about me paying for your whole salary out of my taxes. What Channing Tatum does, or a Ben Affleck maybe, is bring joy to people. And just because you don't do that, don't be jealous that they make money for it. And I'm just going to put it like that.
I love it. If there were a referendum to make sure that, would it be a referendum? Is that how things happen?
Well, I'm a little confused now. You're talking about the public using a petition method to put a law on a bill?
Yeah, I want to make sure that all actors are paid enough. Would that have been?
Oh, sure.
Is that a referendum?
You could go about it that way, certainly.
Okay. I don't know the first thing about it, but I would if somebody went off the street was like, those annoying people with the clippers are like, hey, do you have a moment for the environment? And I'm like, no. But if it were, do you have a moment to make sure that Joseph Gordon-Levitt made a few $1 million every year, I would stop. I would put my name on it.
Well, I think you should. I am so happy I'm no longer watching the movie The World of Kanako right now.
Well, I watched it a week ago, and I still feel it.
Well, right. You watched it the day we recorded our last podcast, which, as we've established, was a week ago.
Yeah, and I went right out. I just shut off my computer, and I folded up my little tripod that other earlier listeners of the show would be really familiar with.
That's a callback to our early days.
Yeah, and I just sat down on the couch and watched The World of Kanako, which, before we move on from it, is translated, I believe the Japanese title was Thirst, not The World of Kanako, which gives it an interesting, speaking of titles to jokes, that had a different title in another country. I don't know why we decided to change it to something else.
Probably because of Western imperialism. Okay. Sorry to get political. Here's Joke Corner.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
I just want to once again explain the premise. I'm going to read Charles a joke that I've researched. I am constantly using the World Wide Web, which is a tool many of you will be familiar with. But I use it to look for the best jokes ever, and I take that information to Charles, and we experience that joke together, and you, the listener, hear it in real time and hear a real, honest reaction, not like in the Jew media, but a real reaction that's honest, and you're going to get that from us today. So thanks for listening. Should we do it now?
All right, what was the title?
Oh, the title of the joke was Snail with an Attitude. This is from metro.co.uk's November 26th, 2015 post. The 10 funniest jokes ever according to science. 5527698. It's part of the URL. But Oliver Wheaton wrote this for metro.co.uk. And here we go. Here's the first joke on the list. Snail with an Attitude.
And I think that's the only joke I don't want to do more than this one.
Are you sure? Because the second one's a doozy, Charles.
Okay. Well, let's see how we feel after the first one.
Okay.
And we'll
So
go
we're
from
going to
there.
go back to that first joke now. Snail with an attitude. This is one of the 10 funniest jokes ever. Science has spoken.
Ever. I'm going to have to like really prepare to laugh. This isn't going to be a regular laugh.
Well, I mean, unless you're going to argue with science, unless you're going to like a poor Christian Southern type who hates science, you're going to laugh. Yeah.
Well, is this like the 10 funniest, meaning it will make me laugh the hardest, or that it has made the most percentage of people laugh, maybe just a little bit?
That's a great quote. And I
Did it say? I'm
looking right
starting
now.
to
Because of the London School,
sort of doubt the
London School of Economics.
what? Why are they?
Researchers at Oxford
Oh,
were
okay.
told jokes by undergraduates from the London School of Economics. So shitty college students were involved in this, which might make it even funnier because college students are the funniest. They really get life. They get that life is kind of surreal and absurd and ironic, and why you have to laugh at it because it's so stupid.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm steeled. I'm ready.
Okay, this is. Before I start, I want to point out that this list is not listed 1 through 10, so there's no hierarchy of jokes. They're just this is just the first they listed. Clearly not alphabetical because the title, Snail with an Attitude, obviously begins with an S. And how weird would it be if the 10 funniest jokes ever all started with letters after the letter S? Wouldn't that be a strange phenomena if SN was alphabetically? Okay, here we go. Snail with an Attitude.
All right, let's do it.
A guy is sitting at home when he hears a knock at the door. He opens the door and sees a snail on the porch. He picks up the snail and throws it as far as he can. With me?
I like it.
3 years later, there's a knock at the door. He opens it and sees... 3 years later, there's a knock on the door. And because this is a scientifically established joke,
Yeah.
I don't want to mistell it. Because already...
That's a huge difference.
Right. You're already so woven up in the magic of this joke that I'm sure this is not taking you out of it at all. But I wanted to make it really clear that I had misread it as a knock at the door. But it's 3 years later, there's a knock on the door. He opens it. This is the man from earlier, and sees the same snail, also from earlier. The snail says, "What the hell was that all about?" Oh, that's the end of it. And the snail says, "What the hell was that all about?"
I think that could have been read a little better, but that's okay. It was a
Hold on. Wait. What do you mean?
well, the stress. I expected a little more. I thought when you said what the hell was that all about?
Hold on. I read it twice, and the second time I really put a little stink on it.
Right, that's when I felt it. And you also messed up the door thing, but that's okay.
Okay.
It's the
No.
first joke.
I made a mistake, and I think that I acknowledged that mistake, and I solved that mistake.
And I forgave you for that, but that doesn't undo. We can move on from it, but we also realize that.
Oh, so it's like a forgive but not forget situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, can you ever forget? No.
Not what, 9/11? No, I can't, and I won't. Sorry.
No. Anyway,
Donald Trump will make America great again.
I didn't really understand the knocking part. Like, did he have a partner who ran in, knocked on the door, and then ran off?
No, I think so. Part of the world of the joke, and no, I'm not talking about the world of Kanako. That was the movie. This is the world of this joke. Just a similar phrase. This is not about the movie. Is that clear?
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay. The snail can also, in addition to talking, can knock. So the snail is an extraordinary snail in, well, actually multiple ways. Because if you think about it, I don't know if snail memory is very strong outside of its sort of like chemical reaction sort of side of things.
Yeah.
So would
They
it
even
remember? Would it live 3 years? So
Was
the
it 3 years or
extraordinary
3
things.
months?
3 years.
Jeez.
Also, I know the housing market is stagnant, but this guy is in the same house for 3 years, and also. Why? I don't think I understand his motivation to throw the snail. Like, what was this sort of aberrant moment of immorality where he threw a living being just to throw it, just to feel powerful for a minute?
Well, that's why. That's the whole thing. Is that the snail too wonders. The Snail Two Wonders?
Well, we don't really get inside the snail's psychology.
Yeah, it's good. I can see why the scientists picked it.
No, this is definitely a funny joke.
Yeah, it leaves a lot of things unanswered, and I think that's good. That's what most jokes should do. But yeah, I would give that an A.
I think a joke that asks more questions than it answers, that's a good joke. That's one of the funniest jokes ever.
Yeah, and if it had been read better, I think I would have laughed.
No, and I really can't stress enough that I feel like I have taken credit where credit is due for not doing as good a job as I should have done. So I'm not dodging that responsibility.
Good.
Little put off by the fact that you keep bringing it up because I keep telling you that I fucking get it. I didn't do a very good job. So
okay.
If that's the
all
point
right,
you want to make, then,
what's this?
No. A point for you, Charles. A point for you. So good job with that.
Okay.
I do feel bad about that now.
You feel bad finally?
You win. Is that what you want to hear? That you win because you win.
I do. Okay. You feel it. I feel it. The snail feels it. Yeah, that guy was a fucking dick. Do you think it was the main character of the World of Kanako?
It's possible because I think the sort of the central mystery at the heart of the World of Kanako is why is this lady so mean? And in this joke, you're like, I get why the snail is angry, but does he have to be so snide about it?
Yeah.
Like it's a little passive aggressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a bit of an asshole too. I think the whole.
But also he's asking for truth in a world of pain and suffering that seems indiscriminate. Maybe this is a sort of like story of Job inverted, where rather than simply accept his fate as like the sort of plaything of destiny, he turns to power and says, "Why?"
But do we get a response?
No, we don't. It's that emptiness. It's that central unanswered question that makes it a compelling story.
Right, and that's why you accept it.
Well, you kind of have to with things like this.
Yeah, because otherwise you spend 3 years asking, and then you still just have to accept it.
Yeah, that God is dead and you're alone.
Yeah.
Okay, joke number 2. Let's just get this one out of the way. I think I really mucked up the first telling.
We gotta go through this.
Okay, here we go. So let's do this. Then we're gonna get in a great word about Quentin Tarantino's the Hateful Eight. How bad are those guys? But before that, here's a second joke. Okay, this is called A Genie and an Idiot.
And an idiot?
A genie and an idiot, which I know I'm going to bite this in the bud. That's an ableist term, and I'm not endorsing it, but it is the joke.
Thank you. So, yeah, it's yeah, okay. That's
I'm not condoning that kind of language, but I'm saying that's the name of the joke.
Perfect. They named it. We didn't. We'll get into that with the word choice from QT a little later today.
Maybe
yes, we
today. Will. Oh God, better be today. Okay, a genie and an idiot, and again, not condoning that word. 3 guys stranded on a desert island find a magic lantern containing a genie who grants them each one wish. The first guy wishes he was off the island and back home. The second guy wishes the same. The third guy says, "I'm lonely. I wish my friends were back here."
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Well, here's my problem with it. Why does he feel like he can't go home?
Yeah, no, actually, I was thinking the same thing. Why would they choose to go home?
What, like, is his company so... Like, why didn't one of them... And this is, I guess, a classic timeless morality question. He could have wished that they were all back home and didn't.
Right, and then had 2 wishes.
Right. The second guy wishes he was also back off the island. There's no effort there to reach out. There's no basic humanity being acknowledged, that they're all on the island, and I think many would agree with me, it's their collective problem. And why are they incapable of acknowledging that and dealing with it when they have the opportunity? There are 2 chances to do the right thing here. Can we blame the third guy, so crudely labeled with an ableist term like idiot by the title of the joke? Can we blame him for wanting to maintain this purgatory that they will all live in for the rest of time?
No, it's yeah, I'll use. It should have been called The Genie and 3 Idiots to be accurate. Yeah, this sucks. These scientists suck. I can see why Republicans don't trust them if they choose shitty jokes like this.
Well, okay. So
wait, do scientists choose things?
I work for a living, Charles. Unlike some people who claim to be Americans, if you know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
And Look, I'll send you some links later. My uncle
Okay.
sends me a lot of stuff, and anyways,
Okay, these aren't going to be the same links you usually send me.
no. And again, I apologize for that. I realize that I understand that at work you really shouldn't have to.
Yeah, see, once
open
again, I
stuff like
can't
that.
forget. These are the things I just can't forget. I can
No,
forgive you, but I cannot forget.
Right, and again, ugh.
Mostly because I had Taylor Swift in my head all day after that.
Okay, this is going to be the whole rest of the podcast if we dig into this scab. But again, I'm sorry, and I think we can put that behind us now, maybe because it's 2016 now, and let's give it a fucking break.
Okay, let's just move. Let's go. Let's get to we're down to the tail end here.
The Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight. We didn't even have a segue. God, this episode sucks.
No, it's a pretty good podcast.
We need a segue.
Oh, segue. World of Kanako. There's a sort of very much projected upon empty.
No, what about the snail? We got to go recent.
Oh, the snail? Okay. So much like in the snails joke from earlier, the snail with an attitude, which is one of the 10 funniest jokes ever according to science. That's according to the metro.co.uk in an Oscar Wheaton penned article. Why do bad things happen to people? Is there any rhyme or reason to it? Did bad things just happen? You know what I mean? And at the end, when we question, was it worth it? Will we ever receive an answer? And no is what Quentin Tarantino basically says. No.
Boom. There we go. See, that was good. I'm glad we got that in there.
Yes.
It's like those, when you're watching an old sitcom, you need to hit those points. Otherwise, people are going to get confused.
Yes.
Okay. So your 2-word review of the Hateful Eight. They can't say hateful or eight. Go.
Disappointment. Snow.
Wow.
The Hateful Eight. I saw it on 70 millimeter in a big ass theater. There was an overture and an intermission, and I ate a bunch of really good popcorn. No arguments there.
Oh yeah, you saw it on film.
Quoi?
You saw it on film. Since I'm living in fucking northern wastelands, I'd have to drive to Boston to see this on film. So I had to see it on a digital projector.
Yeah, like a dum-dum.
And I missed out.
You did. You know what? This movie I thought was going to be a great, compelling mystery, and instead was just stupid, violent bullshit. And man, the best part of the movie was probably the Walter Goggins, Samuel L. Jackson relationship, which is one of my recent favorite interactions between actors in a movie. So good. Bruce Dern is great in this. Tim Roth is brutally underutilized in this. It's a not very good movie. Man, it's just kind of dumb. I thought it'd be smart, but it was just kind of dumb.
So you didn't think the political nature of the movie saved it at all, or was it even done well?
I do not for a minute think it was a political movie.
You don't think so?
I would be very surprised.
You don't think it was just a badly done political movie?
It's possible that it's definitely like a dumb movie. I'll give you that.
Well, I mean, the last chapter of the movie was called Black Man, White Hell. I don't think you can really get much more overt in what you're trying to be talking about with that title.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like The Hateful Eight. I thought it was pretty dumb. I think if it was political, it was very poorly done. I'll give you that.
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't like the beginning that much. I thought let's shave things down. Why do we need 3? It was like 3 hours.
Wait, hold on. That was the best part. The beginning was the best part of the movie. And like Django, it started out really good, and then the rest got stupid as fuck.
I was really bored by the opening ride. I thought it was really like overly constructed. I know we've talked in the past about, dialogue that's written versus dialogue that's ad-libbed, and I sort of go one way, you go the other. This was just way too constructed for me to even get. It was just too Quentin Tarantino's pen was all that I could see in that opening half hour.
I liked when Quentin Tarantino comes in the second half to be like, I made this movie, lest you forgot. And then, wow, thanks for the voiceover, brah.
Yeah, does he have to be in every movie he makes?
I would never watch this movie a second time.
He is the worst. He is maybe the worst actor I've ever seen. And I feel embarrassed when I watch some of his movies where he's in them. Like the scene in, actually this wasn't even his movie, Planet Terror, the half of Grindhouse that Robert Rodriguez did.
Yes.
God, that scene is awful. And then the scene in his movie where he talks like an Australian. for some. Oh wait, was that which one was that?
That's Django.
That was Django. Wow, that it's just like he just makes me cringe. I think more than any other man has ever made me cringe.
Sure.
But I like this movie. I'm gonna go there, Josh. I like The World of Kanako, and I like this movie, and I think it did a really interesting look. It looked at very overtly, but it still went there. It just sort of it took a stab at race relations in a way that most movies sort of avoid, and I think it was well done. It's think it is equally as important to show Black people in roles that people can relate with and are strong characters and interesting characters, but that doesn't mean that I think it's really important to have a Black character be totally at the mercy of all the white people that he's with. And I think it was very well done to just show the place that he's in there, and we really need to remember that.
Well, Samuel L. Jackson was great in it.
He was. It was a really powerful movie about the sad state of affairs that the United States is in and how terribly we are at treating people. And just like to very matter-of-factly throw around the N-word, I think it was probably his most effective use of that word. Even though I still don't know. We'll have to, I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think he should be throwing that around so often?
I think he's proven himself to be an absolute twit who frequently goes in front of people and behaves in a way that is like totally inappropriate and ridiculous. I don't know, man. I acknowledge that there's maybe more going on in this that I can give her credit for because I just didn't like it. But it's just it comes down to the notion of like, and I brought this up earlier, but in a movie where you're really making a lot of pretty brutal choices, does it earn it at the end of the day? And this movie, the common target sought between the white and Black protagonists by the end of the film was just so shallow and violent and despicable that I don't know. I see what you're saying in that it's a very present and intense movie about what it's trying to talk about, but it's also kind of a stupid, blunt movie that doesn't have a lot of panache beyond being pretty over the top.
I'd say it did more than that. I think it really did. Like at the end when he's bleeding out and you just watch him you watch him just sit there and be at the complete mercy of the white people around him discussing his future. And it was a really powerful scene that really captured what, I'm not a Black man, as you know, and probably most of the people listening know, but it's just like, to just be at the complete mercy. It was just like a 10-minute sequence that really captured what a lot of race and racial history is in this country. I thought it was very good.
Well, that's certainly a lot to think about, and I think what better note to end on than a compelling call to consider the plight of the brutally oppressed in our society.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I would say it's better than Inglourious Basterds. It's better than Django. I liked a lot of it, and the parts that I didn't like were, just should have been edited out, but his editor died, so there's really not much we can do about that. He has a new one now that's maybe not as good. I don't know.
Well, that explains how one can escape a business relationship with Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, it was we really differed this week.
Yeah, let me say this. I think what you said about The Hateful Eight was a more compelling argument to revisit it than The World of Kanako. So this week I have to give it to The Hateful Eight for, you did manage, I think, to convince me that I should watch it again and think about it from that standpoint. Yeah.
You should. Maybe you're just in a bad mood. Maybe you watched it after you watched Kanako. I don't know. But I mean, especially, it's not an accident. Regardless of how sort of off-putting and dumb Quentin Tarantino sounds sometimes, this is obviously the reason why he made this movie. I mean, the whole piece about the Lincoln letter, like that was what this movie revolved around, was this man's one way to disarm the white world. And, that wasn't an accident. The title of the last chapter wasn't an accident. It's definitely a movie about American history and racial inequality, and it does it. It's fun, it's funny, but it also it's brutal at the end. That last scene where he's got his balls hanging off by a thread and he's just sitting in bed waiting to get, sold out for a few bucks. It's just, that's the state of things. Still the state of things.
Well, damn, man. Well said.
Yeah. And, so we'll have some new movies. We'll watch something. Well, we're going to watch The Revenant for next week.
Yes.
So that will be more joyous fun.
I am dreading it already.
And we'll figure something else to watch too.
How about a nice movie, Charles? Like a nice fun movie that is just about nice people having a good time, maybe.
Yeah. Well, let's figure that one out. I'm sure there's been one made.
I'm going to Google it.
Okay.
Charles, it's been a pleasure to do The Real Deal, Josh and Charles, with you this week. And as they say in our favorite film, may the force be... Say it with me. May the... Charles?
When are we starting?
On 3, okay? Ready? 1, 2, go. May the
force be with you.
Force be with you. Yeah, blast off.